Hello and welcome back. We now have a working recipe and chef model with an association. So far, we've only been creating recipes and chefs from the Rails console, and once created, we're unable to view any of it on our browser when the application is running. So to view our recipes, and for that matter, anything in our application, we need to create routes. First, I'm going to pull up our MVC diagram. We've been working solely at the database and model layer. So to view anything in our application from the browser, we need to start working here, which means we need to start working with routes, controllers, and views. Okay, so let me start the web server right now. Okay, there's our app. If I go to any route, let's say recipes, where I want to show listing of recipes, there are no route matches. If I want to view an individual recipe, there are no route matches, right? So we need to create these routes. And that would be the first step towards having views for other areas of our application other than just a home page. Because right now, all we have is our home page. Right? Okay, so let me pull up the routes file right now. So if you go to config and then routes.rb, there it is. So right now we just have a route to pages controller and home action, and that takes you to the view under views, pages controller. This is what displays. This is the only view we have on our site so far. Okay. So how do we create routes? Let's talk about some of the routes that we want. We want a recipes route. So if you go to the home page and then /routes, you want it to list out all of the recipes. Kind of like an index listing page. So recipes index, right? So we want this to go to recipes controller, which we don't have yet, but we're going to create, and then index action. This should list out all the recipes on our site. Okay. Then what is something else that we need? We would need an ability to create new recipes. So recipes new, and you want it to go to recipes controller new action. I'm adding this over here because you can specify how you want the path to show up. You can leave it like this. That will also work, but it will basically create a route that says recipes underscore new, but I want it to show as new recipe. Okay, so what has this done so far? Let's check it out. The terminal. I'm going to clear this up. Okay, so to check all our routes, if you remember, you type in rake routes. So now we have the root, we have the home page. Now these are the two that we added. Recipes goes to /recipes, and it will be forwarded to the recipes controller index action. For a new recipe, again, to get HTTP GET request to recipes new, and it will go to the recipes controller new action. Okay, so let's list out some of the other ones we need. Now, the new action will render a form, and then we'll need to handle the submission of the form and create the recipe. And whenever you create, it's going to be a post request, HTTP post request. So, and it'll be a post request to recipes. And then we want to handle it using the create action in our recipes controller. Okay, then we want the ability to edit recipes. So it would look something like this, recipe, and then the ID of the recipe that we're looking to edit, and then edit. We want to route that to recipes controller edit action, and same thing. Actually, let's try this out, and this will kind of display what I was talking about when I said as over there. So if you type in rake routes right now, okay, I don't know what happened. Oh, I didn't save this. All right, so let's try that again. All right, so here we see the routes that are getting created, and you can see that there's no path associated with the edit action. Okay, so I'm going to create that. Edit recipe. Okay. All right, see, now we have an edit recipe path. Okay. Next, we want to handle the edit recipe path. Again, as with new, edit recipe would render a form. It would render a template. And we want to handle the submission of the template. So that will be a put or a patch request. So we're going to say patch recipes, and it's going to be submitted for an ID. Then we want to direct it to the recipes controller. Update action. Okay. Then we want the ability to show recipes. So show an individual recipe and all its details. So recipes, and then you have to provide the ID. And we want it to go to the recipes controller, show action. Oops. And the ability to delete would handle that by recipes and then the ID of the recipe that we want to delete. Recipes controller, destroy action. Okay. So let's see what we've created. Okay. So we see all of our routes showing up here that we want. Here is the new recipe route /recipe/new. That's going to render the form. And then we will handle the form submission using this post request by recipes create. Okay, the create action in the recipes controller will handle that request. Then to edit a recipe, it would be the edit recipe path to /recipes and the ID of the recipe, and then edit. That'll be handled by a form, which would be the edit form. And that form submission will be handled by the recipes update action right here, which is a patch, HTTP patch request. And then we have the ability to show a recipe. Actually, this path is missing. So I'm going to go ahead and add that as just simply recipe. So recipe path. Okay, so now you have that recipe path. And the last one is the ability to delete a recipe, and that would be routed to the recipes controller destroy action. All right, so now that we have created the routes, we're going to go to our server. And now, if we type in any of the routes that we expect, it no longer says route mismatch, right? It doesn't say that get is missing. So we have all of the routes that are listed here. Now it's a different thing. Now it's saying the recipes controller is missing, which we're going to create soon, but we have all the routes. Now, this code right here is pretty standard, and prior Rails applications used to have a lot of these, a lot of code like this. So Rails actually has a very easy way of handling all of these routes, okay? You can simply type in resources, recipes, and get rid of all of this. I'm going to comment it out for now. And check it out. You have all of the same routes given to you automatically. That's some of the Rails magic going on here. So all this code you can basically compress and just create a recipes resource by typing in resources and then recipes, and it creates all of the routes for you. Okay, so you still have the new action, you have the edit action, you have the show action, then you have the ability to handle the create action with post to recipes. Then you have the index, you have the ability to handle the update, patch, and also put, and then you also have the ability to delete with the delete action, destroy action right here. Okay,